Good morning, good morning. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday morning. And welcome, welcome. We have our Halloween themed classes today, and then, of course, next week as well. And I'm actually wearing a Halloween themed shirt. It's got little happy skulls on it. I don't know if you can see it, but just kind of keeping the happy Halloween theme kind of going. So welcome, welcome. If you haven't been in one of my classes before, my name is Alex Cooper. I teach the computer classes for the Columbia County Library in Evans, the Harlan Library, Uchi Creek, now our Grovetown Library, yay, with our new Grovetown building and everything. And we're doing a class this morning for our Grovetown Library, and it's Scratch, Let's Make a Halloween Card and Dance Party. So there we go right there. It's going to be great. As everybody kind of comes into the classroom and stuff, definitely feel free to post any kind of questions that you have into the chat. Do realize there is a little bit of the delay between the chat and, of course, me answering questions and stuff. Well, there we go. It's a little bit better, isn't it? And the biggest question I always ask is, how can I help? So if you've had questions or tried to use Scratch before, maybe you had some issues with it or something, or just were working on a project, let me know, okay? It's one of the big benefits of coming to one of our live classes is that, of course, that you can ask questions. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about some of our other classes that we have coming up. Now, this afternoon, we actually have a class was about Python coding, but it may actually change over to Scratch. I've had a few issues with our syllabus on that one, so we may have to change from Python coding to make that Scratch coding this afternoon. But it's a fun, scare, spot the difference prank thing is what we have going on. So we'll have to see what we're going to do with that one. I'll have the other hand up and stuff so that y'all can try it out as well. Now, next week we actually have some really fun classes coming up. We're actually going to do our first Unity class, make an amazing robot tutorial is what we're going to do. So come join me for that. And then on the 28th, we're going to be doing the Python coding, spot the difference prank, and we may actually switch that over to Scratch again. Like I said, we'll see how the class this afternoon goes. And then on the 28th in the afternoon, we'll be doing a Raspberry Pi project, how to make a sound trap. So it's kind of similar to our whoopee cushion trap that we have, but this might be one someone steps on something on the front porch and then it gets it to make a random sound. Okay, so come join me for that. And then on the 29th, we're actually having a gadget help with Alex Zoom. So if you want to sign up for that, where it's in 30 minute to an hour segments, just call into the Grovetown Library and set up the time, and they'll give you the information on that. On the 29th, we're actually going to do another class, Scratch Basics. Let's make a spooky game. So that's what we'll be doing as well, with some little ghosts, and we click them and they're in the woods and stuff. It'd be kind of fun. Okay, so just some Halloween coding stuff for our Halloween month. Now, just a little side note here, we have library has switched over as of October 1st from RB Digital to Libby. So if you're looking for the free audiobooks and digital books, they're not on RB Digital anymore. They're now on Libby. All you need to do is download the Libby app, install it, and then it'll ask you what library you're from. Don't say Columbia County, don't say Grovetown, don't say Harlem. Say Greater Clarksville Regional Library System, and then it'll say choose one, and choose where it says Georgia download destination, and then enter your library card, and you'll be all ready, set to go. Our libraries are open with limited services and hours. Curbside holds pickup is available. You can go to gchrl.org for details or call the library with questions Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're actually having a subscribe drive. Okay, so if we could get 100 subscribers to our YouTube channel, then we will get a unique YouTube address, or just search YouTube for GCHRL videos and it'll pull right up. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to open our handout. And I'm actually going to post it in our chat as well. So give me a moment to do that. All right, it's still loading, so give me 1 second. Here we go. All right, so it's uploading it now. So, have you ever done a Scratch project before? We're going to cover some of the basics on it as well, and we're also going to be doing, you know, all right, so hold on. Okay, it's updating. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, posting in the chat now. So this is our handout, so you can download it and everything and follow along at home. All right, so today we're doing our Scratch class with our Halloween card and then our dance party. Okay, so happy Halloween. With my little, the Skull Friends shirt. Yay, all the little happy Skull Friends. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about what is Scratch, okay? So we're going to cover a few basics in case you've never used Scratch before. And then we'll, of course, dive in about doing our Scratch card and our Scratch dance party. We'll do 3 projects total. And so we'll talk about, we'll sign up for Scratch. We'll talk about logging in. We'll start a Scratch project. And then we'll talk about saving our project, program overview, in our basic tutorial. And our basic tutorials, we'll do a Bat and Frank, Monster Party, Animated Card Bat, Scares Frank, and then turn the frog into a wizard. Ooh, turning a frog into a wizard. So after this, you can kind of make, you know, whatever you want. Usually with our beginner class, where we do kind of beginner with Scratch, we do some stuff. We do kind of like a dance party. We'll do a little bit more of a advanced dance party than that one. And we're also going to be adding some extra stuff more than just our normal kind of birthday card that we do. So if you look past some of the other classes, you'll notice it's similar, but we are going to go a little bit more advanced too. And then we'll explore some other projects that are already posted on the Scratch website. We'll talk about resources, and also we'll talk about and see if I can answer any questions that you have. Okay. So before we get started, does anybody have any questions? Questions. Do you have questions? All right, so let's start off with what is Scratch and what can I do with it. Like I said, you may have heard this before if you've ever used Scratch before, but hopefully I'll kind of fill in the blanks a little bit. Scratch is a programming language and an online community where you can create your own interactive stories, games, and animations and share your creations with others from around the world. Designed to be creative, help with reasoning systematically, and work collaboratively. And it doesn't cost anything. It's hosted by MIT. Do I need a license? No, Scratches will always be free. And one little side note too, you can actually sell your own projects as well, which is kind of a neat idea. For more information about Scratch, you can go to scratch.mit.edu/about. Now I'm going to show a quick little video. Come on, thing. Okay. Let's go a quick little video. And it will actually... Hold on. Started playing immediately. All right, so here we go. And I'll disappear for a minute. Alright, so that's just kind of a quick overview. Kind of give you some ideas of what you can do with Scratch. Let's go ahead and let's get started. The big thing today is that just realize that you can sign up for a free account from Scratch. All you need is an email address. You'll get your own username, and also you put in your own password. You do not have to do that today. Anything I do today, you don't have to have an account. The only reason you may want an account is so that you can save your projects after you complete them, of course, and then you can share them as well, okay? But you don't have to do that today. You can just follow along with me. So the big thing is, let's go to Scratch. No, I keeps wanting to do that. Go to scratch.mit.edu. So let's go ahead. Now I have that song in my head. Do 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 do. All right, so here's our website here. So the big thing, like I said, if you want to join, click Join Scratch. Create a free account. But if you don't want to, that's okay. Let's go up and let's click where it says Create. So Create. And it will load Scratch for us. Yay, there's Mr. Scratch the cat. That's kind of their, not their logo, mascot. There you go, it's their mascot. All right, so here's kind of the big thing, is if you are logged in, you can actually give the project a name, and then hit File, and then do Save Now. Okay? And that is up here. So if I say we're going to do the Bat and Frank project, and put a 2 in there because I recently did one of these. All right, so here's our program overview. Okay. Number 1 area is our stage. Okay. It's where you can see all active sprites in your chosen background. Okay, will appear here. You can move sprites around if you like. Give your project a name in the field above. Okay, which is right here is the name of the project. Number 2 area is our backdrop. Here you can select a different backdrop. Choose from Scratch's library, paint your own, or import a file. I think we might do a Thanksgiving Day card. And we'll actually draw it from scratch. I think we'll do that next month. I think that would be a good project. Most people can draw like a little turkey from a hand. I remember outlining my hand, and then we make it into a little turkey, and that was always a fun project. And we can do something similar. All right, so let's look at our sprites. Show up in this area. Okay. And then we have our work area, number 4. This is where we put our code. So basically we'll have different sprites here. We click them, and then we put the code here, drag and drop the code in this area to affect which sprite. Okay. So let's talk about our blocks. Okay. These are our blocks over here. One great thing is that they're broken up into different categories, which have different color combinations. Okay. Now, if you can't find something, that's okay, because you can just scroll up and down right here on the scroll bar, and it'll show all the blocks. If you scroll down, you'll run into all the blocks. Okay. Using our blocks, one great thing is that the code. Basically, they make them into Lego blocks, similar to Lego blocks. And the big thing about it is if the code doesn't go together, that means the blocks won't go together. Okay. We have another class that we do Scratch to Python for certain projects. Okay. And then we also have a website similar to this in Python doing our little Lego blocks too. So our different categories are motion, look, sound, data, events, control, sensing, operators. Okay. And there's more blocks below as well. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about our first project here. Our first project is just kind of getting the basics down about using our flag, moving a graphic, importing, or adding a sprite. And then we'll also talk about getting our bat to talk and stuff. So let's do our step-by-step here. Okay. So let's add a backdrop, and we're going to add the backdrop of the woods. So let's click the woods. The backdrop right here. Now, the fun thing about Scratch is you can upload your own graphics. Okay. You can upload your own, and you can edit them in the little bit of graphic editor, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Okay. But we're not actually going to be using Scratch, so we're going to be using a bat. So let's go ahead and delete Scratch. Let's go up to our little trash can and click that, and then he'll disappear. Okay. Now let's go here. You can upload your own graphic. You can draw a picture, but let's click one more time here, and it'll show us all the pictures that Scratch has. Okay. Now the one we're looking for, so hopefully this will give you all kinds of neat ideas. Outer space, birthday party, let's see, Jurassic, ooh, the dinosaurs. Like a sports game you want to make. There you go. And let's go all the way down to it says woods. So we're trying to make something a little spooky. Okay. All right. So did you get it? Yeah, hopefully. All right. Let's go back to our handout. So we've added the woods background. Okay. Now let's add the Bat Sprite. Let's click the little cat head down here. Now one thing is, you see all these different sprites that come with Scratch, okay? And you're wondering which ones have animations and which ones don't. Well, the big thing is all you got to do is just kind of hover over them, and it'll show you which ones have animations or costumes, they say, and which ones don't. Okay? So there's our bat. We hover over our bat. He does have a animation. So let's click that, and it'll come in. Yay! There's our bat. All right. Then let's add Frank. Okay. It's always been a big controversy about this being Frankenstein. It's not really Frankenstein. It's the Dr. Frankenstein made the monster, so technically this is Frankenstein's monster. But in the popular culture, his name is now Frankenstein. But do you realize that if Dr. Frankenstein made him, it's like he's the father. So his family name would be Frankenstein. So there we go right there. Maybe it works out. All right, so let's get our characters and let's move them around so they kind of match what we were working on, okay? They'll match what our picture is up here, okay? We want the bat to kind of be on the same plane as Frankie. So when the bat goes to the right, he just has to get near Frankie, and then Frankie will get scared, okay, and run off. All right, so let's talk about clicking our flag to make it work, okay? So we need to add a block that says when flag is clicked. This will start your code when you click the main green flag, okay? And we actually want the bat to move some steps to the right so that it looks like he's scaring Frank, okay? So we have our bat, and let's make sure we're on our bat. And now let's do our event, and it says when flag is clicked, and I'll zoom in a little bit here. So when the flag is clicked, we actually want our bat to move to the right. So let's go to motion, and it says move 10 steps. Now that's not enough steps. If I want to run code, I can actually click here at any time, and it'll run the code, okay? I have to move him back. Or because I have the green flag starts, I click the green flag, and then he'll move running the code, and I have to move him back after, okay? Now, what we want to do is we want our after moving, okay, and we actually want him to move, let me make sure, 125 steps, okay? So as many steps as it takes to basically run up to Frankenstein, that's what we want him to do. So 125. All right, so let's try that now. Let's click the flag. There you go. You can get a little closer on there. I think that's close enough. He's over here, and I have to move him back, okay? Now, one thing that we want to do is we want the bat, when he gets close to Frankenstein, to say, boo, okay? So we're going to go to looks, and we're going to go to where it says say hello for 2 seconds. And we're actually going to change it from saying hello to boo. Okay? All right, so now try our code. Boo. And then the boo goes away. If you choose the other, the boo won't go away. Okay, so the words won't go away. Just realize that. Now the next thing we're going to do big thing is that anytime we have anything, some kind of motion, movement, we need to undo our motion or movement so that when we start over or hit the green flag or let it finish the animation, it actually will be in the same place it started, okay? So what we need to do is this. We actually need to give a wait. So I'm going to give a wait of 5 seconds. Now I think our handout will say like 10 seconds or whatever. I think I may have changed that. And then what I want it to do is actually the opposite of what we did to make him move out there. Okay. Now going to the right is a positive number. Going to the left will be a negative number. So that means I need to do minus 125. So what will this mean? This means our bat will run up 25 steps, say boo for 2 seconds, it'll wait for 5 seconds, and then go back to where it previously was. Okay? So as long as I don't stop the animation, it should, go back to where it originally started. So boo. 5 seconds, and then boom, it goes back to where it originally started. So it resets, okay? All right, now let's do Frank's code, okay? Now, one of the things we're going to do different with Frank is we're actually going to add a sound. Now, our plan is to make Frank run off the screen, go ah, and then run off the screen. And Frank actually comes with the sound, but his sound is it's not what we're looking for. We want a fun scream or funny scream. Okay. So we need to add the green flag. Let's click Frank. Add the green flag. Really small. Okay. Now, what we want him to do is he needs to wait. Let's go back to our thing. Yeah, he needs to wait 2 seconds because the bat coming over and then saying a boo will take about that much time. So let's go to wait, the control. Okay. And then we actually want Frank to scream. So let's talk about sounds. So each character usually comes with a sound. Okay. But we don't actually want the wolf sound. We want our own sound. So let's add another sound to Frank. So let's go down here, and you can upload your own sound. The big question I'll get asked is, can I upload like MP3s? Yes, you can. It supports WAV files and MP3 files. So pretty much any kind of music or whatever you wanted to, you could upload that very easily, or sounds. Click here, and we actually want to go to voice. They're all different categories. Let's click voice, and let's go to the one that says scream. I think that would be funny. All right, so let's choose that one. Now, in this section, a little bit later, we'll mess around with our sounds. But let's go ahead back to our code right now. But this allows us to play it. So now let's add a sound. So let's click sound. And because we added a sound, it actually has it listed in our drop-down menu. So there's the wolf, there's the scream. So let's drag that over there. Now let's give Frank a little bit of motion. What we want him to do is, and it's going to take about 250 for him to run off the screen. So let's go to motion. All right. Now, and then he'll run off the screen, and that's kind of the end of our little animation. Now, I want it to reset, remember? So anything we do, we need to have the opposite happen, okay? So let's go and, let's go and we're going to give him a second to wait, or 5 seconds, remember? And then we're going to have the motion, so he'll go back to where he previously was. So let's put him in a minus 250, okay? So basically, we come in, we have our bat. It's going to run up to Frank, say boo, Frank will scream, and then Frank will run away over to the right side. And then they're going to wait 5 seconds, and then they'll come back and reset, okay? All right, so let's look at it full screen. And let's hit the green flag. And as long as I don't hit the stop button, it'll continue the animation and then they should reset. Okay, let's do that one more time. All right, so big thing that we've learned is sometimes when you're working on a project, it may not actually be true interaction. We're just having something move at the same time when something else moves, so it looks like they're interacting even though they're just following our instructions, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to our next project. And the code's right here. Let's talk about our monster party. It's a monster dance party. Monster dance party. Everyone was there. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start a new project. Let's hit File and New. And I'm going to call it, delete that, I'm going to call it Monster Dance Party. And it's the, let's see, it's October 22nd. Monster Dance Party. Hey Mac, how are you? It's very true. They have all kinds of different little graphics on there, don't they? Okay. So let's go ahead and let's remove our cat. Bye-bye, Scratch. Oh. Okay. We have our other characters we're going to deal with. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and add our backdrop as Spotlight. Let's go to our backdrop. Backdrop. Spotlight. We could choose a different background. I do know that when we make the make it change colors at the end to make it look like it's kind of like disco lights, this is kind of the best background to use. All right, let's go ahead and add our bat. We'll add Frank, and then we'll add the ghost. The ghost? Ghost. Yep. All right, so let's add the bat. Let's add Frank. Let's add our ghost. All right, now let's go ahead and let's move our sprites to the location pictured above. But there's one extra thing we need to do. Our sprites kind of look kind of big. So we're actually going to make our sprites smaller. They're not going to be 100%. We need to move them down to 75%. So 25% smaller. So we're going to click the where it says size, and then we're going to change them to 75. Okay. So here's our ghost. Here's Frank. And then there's the bat. Just because they're just kind of big. And you'll see that it'll be too much. They'll run into each other a lot. So let's click the bat. And right here where it says size, let's click that. And let's change it to 75. And you'll see that he gets a little smaller. Frank can't even stand on the podium, really. 75. There we go. And then the ghost, 75. There you go. So now it looks like Frank's standing on the podium. The ghost has more room, and the bat has more room as well. Okay. Now I'm gonna hit save. We're gonna do something kind of neat. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make our bat look like it's hanging, okay, from the ceiling. All right, let me see something real quick. Let's see. Well, hang on. Okay, I guess we're not doing that one, but let's see. Oh, we do that on the next one. On the next one. Let me make sure here. Yeah. Okay. So on the next one, we're going to make the bat look like that. Now we're just going to have the bat kind of dance. Bat dance. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the green flag. Okay. We're going to have the bat say Happy Halloween for 2 seconds. Okay. And then we're going to make him dance a little bit. All right, so let's do our bat. Let's add our control event. When click the flag. And then we're going to add him saying Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. We want to try it out. We can click it. Happy Halloween. All right. Now let's add a repeat. Okay. And here's our example over here. A repeat. Now if you want it to just play forever until you hit the stop button, you can actually put a forever in, but we want to do a repeat because we want it to repeat 10 times. So let's talk about a repeat. Repeat is instead of me having to do the coding a certain amount of times. And it looks kind of like a Pac-Man, and we put our code inside of it, okay? And what code do we want? Well, let's talk about our costumes, okay? Now, there's specific costumes, or if you're doing animation, they would call this frames or keyframes. that we actually want to be seen. So let's go up here and let's click costumes. And let's talk about our costumes. Now our characters already come with our animation on them. So if we click here, we can actually see there's our bat animation. Now the last one here looks kind of like the bat is asleep, so we don't really want to use that one. Okay, we want to use the bat A, bat B, and bat C. Okay, looks like he's kind of yelling. Maybe he's like, yeah, we're dancing, we're having a good time. So we just kind of want him to go back and forth through these 3 costumes or animations. Okay, now anytime you can actually take your paintbrush or whatever and draw on our little graphic. You can make your own little graphic, and like I said, you can upload your own picture too, and you can take a picture from the camera as well. Okay, so let's go back. Now that we know that, let's go ahead and add our change of costume. So that's under looks. So switch costume to, and we want it to be the first one. Now, if we tell it, we keep adding the switch costumes, it'll look like blah, 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 just really, really as fast as the computer can go. So we need to give it a wait in the middle. Now, if it's a whole number like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that means seconds. But if it's a point something, that means it's half of a second or whatever of a second. So we will need half a second, so let's do 0.5. If you want a quarter, do 0.2, okay? Really, those are the main 2 that you do. You do half seconds or quarter seconds, okay? All right, now let's go ahead and let's go into the next, switch costumes to B. All right, and then wait. All right, and then switch costumes to C. Zoom out a bit here. Now, anytime you have a repeat, you always want to give it a wait at the end, because when it goes back around, it won't look uniform, okay? Because if it's just doing this one and flipping to that, it really won't look like much happened, okay? So this is our repeat 10 times. So here's our code. It's going to walk down. When the green flag starts, Happy Halloween for 2 seconds, and then it goes to the next one and says, okay, 10 times. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and try it out and see if it looks like he's kind of flying. Let's hit our green flag. Happy Halloween! Yay, there you go. All right, very good. Now, he did not finish because these are odd. These are an odd number of costumes here. He didn't finish. So the problem is, if I go back and I want to start again, remember, any action that you do, you want it to revert so that you can press the button again or play the game again or whatever it is, so that it'll be just like you just started when you started it, okay? So we actually need to add one more thing to the end. Outside of the repeat, we want to add a switch back to his A costume, okay? All right, so it's going to go through here, and then it'll end here. There we go. Flap, 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 flap. Ah! Wah! Wah! And then, even though the last repeat costume is him look like he's yelling, it'll go to the next one here, which it says switch back to costume A. So it'll look like everything reset so I can hit the button again, okay? All right, so let's go down to our next part here. So we got our bat going on. The bat dance. Okay, now let's talk about Frank dance and music, okay? Now, this one's going to be good because we don't actually have to have it so that we list all the individual costumes, okay? Because there's costumes that we want to play all the costumes of Frank and all the costumes of Ghost. And we'll look at that first. Let's go ahead. Let's go to Frank. And let's look at costumes. And here's his costume. Pretty good. Now, I do kind of have this as an extra thing. And I kind of note it. Let's see, where do I have a note on here? Anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of extra here. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to, we have Frank dancing, but it doesn't really look as much like dancing other than him standing there. He looks to the right, his left, he looks to the left, and then he's like, roar. So is he just yelling or is he dancing? Well, if we add just one more frame to it, it actually will make it look like he's dancing. So the one where he looks to the left, let's make a copy of that. And then we're going to mirror it or flip it horizontally. So it looks like he's got his arms down. He looks to the left. Or excuse me, he looks to the left. He looks to the right. And then he puts his arms up. And then he puts his arms up. Woo! Puts his arms down, puts his arms. Rawr! So it looks like burr, 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 burr. So it looks kind of like a little dance. So how do we do that? Now we're actually going to have to do a right click, okay, to make a copy. This is a different copy. So right click on Frank B, and it'll say duplicate. Just say duplicate. And right now they're the exact same. So Frank B and Frank B2 made another costume, so it called it 2. Let's go to B2, and I'm going to click flip horizontal, and then boom. Now let's go the basic. He looks to the left. He looks to the right. He puts his arms down, and then roar. So now it looks kind of like he's dancing, doesn't it? Do 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 do. 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 I mean, the interesting thing about this is if you could, since you can actually control which costume, you can make him, do a dance completely, in a different order if you wanted to. All right, so we just wanted to go through our frames now that we added that extra one. Now let's go to our ghost, and we're going to do something similar. So our ghost kind of has one tooth for some reason. Duh, he's kind of a duh ghost. So he looks to the right, he puts his hands up, and then it looks like he's kind of moving to his left. So let's kind of do the same thing, but let's do it here with the one him looking to the left. His right. And then there's the one where he's kind of moving to our right. Okay. We'll mirror both of these. So let's go here, say duplicate and flip. Duplicate and flip. Okay. Now it looks like he's dancing. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Just like that, okay? All right, so let's go back to our code. Let's go ahead and let's do Frank first. So we have our events. Put that there. And we have our, and we have to tell it to wait for 2 seconds. See, we need our wait for 2 seconds. with Frank. Wait for 2 seconds. And then now these are already set up to be about the right time, but we'll kind of play around with it a little bit too. But we actually want to add a repeat and next costume and put a 0.5 in between. And then we do want to make sure that it goes back to the original. So we'll actually tell it to do, well, shoot, that's not a goat. That's the wrong one. Let's see. Okay. I have to fix that because this is basically, it's the same thing basically. I think the number is different. Yeah, so that's the ghost one. Alright, so I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. So we did our animation, okay. Now let's talk about, so we need the seconds. So wait 2 seconds. We want to go to our repeat. And we want one called we want one called next costume. Okay. But we also need it to have the weight in there at inside. Oh, inside. Hold on. 0.5. All right, now let's go ahead and let's check Frank out. Or let's hit the green and we'll get everybody both of them dancing because we haven't done the rest yet. There we go. Happy Halloween. Look at Frank dance. There you go. Do 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 do. Look. So what happened? Well, we actually needed to have more repeats, don't we? Yes, we do. Because our bat, he's over here doing 10, but he's got all these other animations kind of going on. And Frank needs to have it more than just 10, okay? Well, that's 3. Hang on. Yeah, that's 3. And Frank, how many does Frank have? 1, 2, Frank has 5. All right, so I think in our handouts, let's see what that looks like. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. And see if they finish at the same time. Big thing is we need them to match. Now, do you see? Sometimes it doesn't actually finish up with his hands down by his side. So we actually do need to add an extra switch to costume at the bottom. And we want him to stand in normal place. So let's go ahead and let's try that again. And then when he finishes, should make sure that he's standing in the start position. So anytime they stop, they'll be in the costume will be in the right order. All right, so let's look at our ghost. We're going to do the same thing. A-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. A-do-do-do-do-do. All right, number 2. And then we want a repeat. And then we want a change costume. We want to give it a break in between. 0.5. All right, now we're going to have the same thing about the costume. So let's go ahead and add the switch costume to the ghost A. Okay. All right, now let's try our time there. All right, so then we should have all 3 dance now. Let's hit the green flag. Happy Halloween. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Look, everybody's dancing. It's a dance party. But we don't have any music yet. We've fixed that. And I think our ghost needs to be moved down a little bit more, right about there, I think. So he's not running into Frank. It's a dance party. All right, so let's click Frank and let's actually add some music. Now, Frank actually comes with a sound effect. All right, that does not work with our purpose, does it? Because we need some dance music. So let's go down here, make sure you're on Frank. Go down here, click, and we actually want to go to where it says loops. Loops is the easiest one to find, okay? So mostly these are just like little dance clips. Cool. This is one called Mystery. Alright, now we're actually going to mess around with it and change it. Okay? So let's hit play. It's a little slow, doesn't it? Well, we can actually speed it up. So it's a little bit more of a dance song. So if we can click the button here, it says faster. There you go. It's a little bit more upbeat already, isn't it? And what can you do? Well, there's always an undo button up here. Okay. You can do faster, slower, and you can, of course, click these more than once. Make it something louder, softer. You can mute part of it. All you have to do is kind of just do a drag, and you select what you're trying to, select what you're trying to select. There's also fade in, fade out. There's also reverse. Don't think so. Robot. Arm robot. Okay, so there's a part of our song that if we repeated, which I believe is this part right here. So if we could repeat that one more time, I think it'll make it sound more like a dance song. So we highlight what we want, we'll hit copy, and then we'll click at the end here. And let's hit paste. Alright, so let's listen to our whole thing. Not perfect, but I think that'll work for our purposes. Okay, so now that we have our music, let's go back to our code. And one of the things we want is we need to set up a separate section here for our music. So we need to give it 2 seconds. Okay. And then we need it to play our sound. It's called Mystery Sound. You make sure I'm following along. Oh, that's right. I did do something a little different last time. I actually added the wolf in there too. So let's do that as well. Let's not do the until done. Let's choose where it says start sound. Okay. So wolf howl. Ooh. Now we do actually want this to repeat. So let's do a control and add a repeat loop on both of these guys right here. And how about we make it 3? Okay. All right, let's try it. That's pretty perfect. The bat was a little slow at the end there. The bat, it's not a ton that I can do about that. Maybe I can push that down one, but I think that's pretty good. Okay, so let's go ahead to our next part. Now we got to do our background, don't we? Oh, we got to do something with the ghost. We got to do something with the ghost. All right, so let's do the ghost. And we're actually going to make him change. I usually do change color for him, but I'll show you all the other things that you can do as well. Okay, so let's choose our ghost, and let's make a new flag event. And I actually want it to repeat. So let's add a repeat. And let's see. Is that what I want? Let me make sure. Yeah, 30. Yeah. All right. So the last time I did this, I actually made the ghost get ghostier. So not only did I change the parts, so of course he's changing over here. So we also want him to change the different effects. So what our effect choices? Well, it'll actually let him change color, which I think that will do that. Fisheye, a whirlwind, pixelate him, mosaic him, change the brightness level, and also make him transparent or ghost. Okay, so let's add that, and then let's add another one of those. But this time, let's choose ghost, and I think I made it to 2 because you couldn't even see the ghost much. Okay. Now we do want it to kind of give a break in between, so 0.5 is usually good. All right. Let's kind of see what that looks like with our ghost. So he's changing color, and he's starting to fade out a little bit too. You should be able to tell that. Now, anytime we have any kind of effect to make it go back to the original, we can actually add where it says clear graphic effect. Okay, so if we add that to the bottom, ooh, it's getting crowded. Okay, so if we add that to the bottom, says clear graphic effect, when it reaches that, that means that it'll go back to the original, look. Get more transparent, and then it gets to the end and it resets him. Okay, so we definitely need it to do more than just that. So let's give it a 30 on there and see what that's like. All right, now let's see everything all together. Here we go. Okay, that worked out pretty well, I think. Pretty well. Maybe make it 31. Here, let's do 31 and then try that. Now, let's go ahead and let's change our background. So let's click our background here. And what changes do we want? Well, we actually want it to change color because it'll make it look like the disco lights are blinking on and off. So let's do our flag. Let's do our wait. So after he says Happy Halloween. And then we want it to change color. We want to add a repeat. Looks, we want it to change the color effect by 25 and then give a few seconds in between. 0.5. And then of course when it finishes, we want it to reset. So clear graphic effect. So it goes back to the way it originally was. Okay. All right, so this is our background. Let's click it and try it. There you go. Do, 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 do. How about that? So it looks kind of like a disco party. All right, let's make it 30. And then let's try it all together and see what it's like. We'll do full screen here. Happy Halloween! Them kind of awkwardly not, you know, finishing at different times, or stop dancing at different times, I should say. It has like a little bit of awkwardness to it, which I think is funny. Happy Halloween! Alright, so let's go back. Let's do our ghost. Yep, needs 2 seconds in there. The ghost is starting too early. Alright, so let's try it now. Alright, what y'all think? Pretty great, isn't it? I think it's pretty fun. Okay, so you can add other effects to like the ghosts and any of the characters. You can make them turn if you want to. Changing the color, we made it ghost. So he kind of transitions out, of course, and he comes back. Again, a big one is if you want it to reset at the end, is to add the clear graphic effects on there, okay? Or make it switch back to their original costume. So this should say Frank here. So I'll actually go back and fix that. So anyway, so think about it. The flag is your beginning, here's your middle, and of course here's your reset at the end. All right, now let's go ahead and we're going to have a two-part of our little card here. Now we're going to make an animated interactive card. Okay, so the first thing we did was kind of a getting used to doing the simultaneous animation, getting used to Scratch a little bit. Our second thing has been, of course, doing a dance party, learning about using our sprites, learning about animation, sounds. And now we're going to go to the next step here and start making an interactive card the way that we can interact with stuff, okay? Just by kind of clicking on it, moving it around. All right, so now I have that song in my head. Oh, all right. Now in this one, we'll just kind of walk through it, but I just mostly have the code here, and then what we'll eventually make, and then keep these characters here kind of on the left side, okay? Because we're going to add our other characters over here on our right side. So let's go ahead and add the backdrop, the woods. Let's make a new project. So we're going to go to File, Save, File, and then File, New. And let's go ahead and let's get rid of the cat. There you go. So let's do our backdrop. Add our backdrop, woods. We want to add the bat and Frank, okay? And we want their size to be 75% again, okay? So add the bat, add Frank. Want them to be 75, so let's click the bat, And as you can see, they're pretty big characters right now. Click there and make it 75. Shrink them down a little bit, but not too much. Shrink. All right, now we're going to do something a little bit unique. We're actually going to animate the bat. So did you notice that one of our let's go ahead and let's add the sound, the scream sound to Frank. Okay, so click Frank, click sounds, and then let's go down here and let's add. And it's under, you can scroll down if you want to, but it's under voices. So let's click voice.
Two.
Yeah.
Hey.
So let's choose the scream 1. So that'll be added to Frank, okay, for later. Now, if we go to our bat and we look at our costumes, one of our costumes, this last one here, it makes it look like the bat's asleep, doesn't he? He's asleep. Oh, little bat's asleep. All right, so let's do something kind of fun. We're going to make it so that our bat is up there. We click our bat and he flies down. Okay. And then basically scares Frank. And we're going to have some interactivity here. So unlike the previous animation, was what we did was we just timed everything right. This will actually be the bat, anytime the bat touches Frank, or has, it's what they call in video gaming collision detection. Anytime there's collision detection between the bat and Frank, Frank will basically yell, okay, and then do an animation, okay. So that's kind of what our goal is. So one of the things is our backgrounds are actually made up of axes, okay. Now I'm actually going to load the background so you can visualize that. It's a grid. So this is what it really looks like, and this is how we can tell where we want our sprites to be, okay. So all you really need to know is there's x-axes and y-axes, and 0, 0 is right in the middle of the screen. Minus x makes it to the left. Positive x goes to the right. Negative, positive y goes up, and negative y goes down, okay. Now we don't have to 100% learn this because I'm going to show you a quick trick that'll always have your character where you want him to be, okay. So I'm going to go back to the woods. Go back to the woods. All right, so now we're back in the woods. So what we want to do is this. We actually want to have it so our bat, so we're going to start with our bat right here, okay. So we want it to have it so when we click the flag, so let's click our bat, let's do our code. So when we click the green flag, okay, we want our bat to be here, okay. Now to visualize this, I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the bat upside down, and then we're going to program it to be upside down too, okay. So visually we want to change the direction of our sprite. We click here, and then it has a really easy to use graphic that comes up. So I basically can grab this arrow and I can turn him, you know, where I want him to. I want to try to be exactly on 90 degrees, okay. So that's negative 90 degrees direction. Now, what I really want is to know the exact location the bat should be, so that the x-axis and y-axis. Now this is it. Now the good part about it is, there's it on here. There it is. It's the motion, it's the go-to. Okay? So anytime that you grab a character and move them around and the axes change, in our code block, the axes will automatically change to where that is. Okay? So you don't have to figure out constantly, where is that? What do I need to do? Well, if you do it in this order, so move your character where you always want him to be, okay? And then you'll see the axes, and your axes here changes, and then drag it out here, and then it will have changed it, and you know that's right, okay? So instead of having to pull your hair out trying to figure out, well, I put it there, then I thought I typed in the right number, or I thought this was, no. Move your character there, it'll change the axes, and then drag it out here. Now, if you now grab the bat around, it won't change anything on this. It'll only change it in the little area there. Okay, so just kind of realize that. So what we want is, when we click the flag, we want our bat to be up here. We want it to be on the costume that looks like he's the costume is on now, asleep. And then we want it to be turned at that angle, okay? And I'm trying to remember if it's under looks or whatever. Let's see. Where's it on her? There it is, point and direction. And what direction we want? We want negative, and negative 90 is what we want. So even if I grab the bat, I move him over here, maybe even if I'm messing around with him like this, anytime I hit the green flag, he's always going to jump back up there and he's asleep. Okay? So we already have our reset point already. Okay? So let's go to our next part. So what do we want to do? We want our bat to look like he's flying down where Frankie is, because we're going to have our bat scare Frankie, but it's a little bit more advanced than just letting him do boo. Okay, we want to make it interactive, so we click on the bat. That's when he'll fly down there. He's going to make a sound, fly down there, switch direction. When we click on him, he'll say Happy Halloween, of course. We want to keep that theme going. And then fly down there to where Frank is, okay? And then when the bat touches Frank, we want Frank to go, ah, is what we want Frank to do, okay? And we'll program that in just a second. But let's go ahead and do this. Now, I'm actually not going to add the when the sprite is clicked yet, because we're still putting our code in here. So, when the sprite is clicked is what our plan is to make it an interactive card. Let's go ahead and do the owls. Let's go ahead and do our sound. So the bat comes with an owl sound. Yes, he does for some reason. So play owl sound. Like I said, later we're going to add the topper when bat is clicked, then do this code, okay? Here, I'll do it here because that'll be a little bit easier and you can see everything at one time. Okay, so then of course we want to have him do Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. So let's try that. Happy Halloween. Alright, and then we actually want him to change direction, okay, to basically write the right way. We want him to look like he's flying, okay. Now, we actually need to have his movement separate, okay, because we want him to be flying and moving at the same time, so we need to write those separate. So, again, instead of the green flag, when you click the sprite, want these two actions to start at the same time, okay? So next we want him to turn around. So we want his direction. Let's see, no, that's not it. It is a blue. There he goes, point in direction. 90, so he'll actually turn the right way, and we actually want it to start the animation. And this is one, again, remember, we just want the first two so it looks like he's flying. So we want it to be the A, want him to pause. Want it to go to B, and then needs it to pause. Here we go. All right, so let's look and see how that goes. Oh, well, hang on. Let's go and do our code, because then I have to change all that back. No, it'll do it right here. Never mind. All right, so here we go. Let's look. He should turn and then look like he's flying. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now, when I click the green flag, it'll bring him back up here and have him back asleep. Boom. There you go. So the green flag is what's resetting him right now. All right, so we've got all that going on. It's going to fly like a bat. Now let's add wait 2 seconds, because he's going to say Happy Halloween, and then we want it to glide down to where Frank is, and that should take 2 seconds. Wait 3 seconds, and believe it or not, because we're going to program Frank that when the bat touches him, he'll scream, okay, and then do his animations. If we don't get the bat off of him, it'll actually stay frozen. I'll show you that to begin with, okay? So Frank will actually keep yelling, ah, 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 kind of like that. So let's go ahead. Let's add our wait. Whoop. Because again, we're going to add a topper that says click sprite. We need to add a wait. And we want it to glide. Now, again, the easy thing is we actually grab our sprite. We grab him. I know right now he's not on the right costume, but we'll just click one of these. And he's not turned around the right time right this second. So we'll turn him around. All right, so we can kind of get our gist a little here. So I want him to be about here, and I want him to be touching the Frankie's shoulder. Okay, so I want him to glide. Glide kind of means it's more of an animation. No, I don't want you to stick to that. Glide to that point, okay? And then I'll show you what's going to happen when we do our other part of our animation. Okay, so if I click the green flag, he should completely reset. And if I click this, he won't change his costume right now, and he'll fly down there. See? Alright, so we'll try this kind of together. There you go. So there's your animation and everything. Alright. And then if hit the green, it'll reset where he was. Okay? Very important to do the reset. Okay, so now the next part is we're actually going to have it so that Frank will be here, and we do have to have a forever loop. Okay, that's just so that this is constantly waiting for, let's say, Frank's shoulder to be touched by the bat. Okay, what do we want? We want to add an if. So if the bat touching Frank, then Frank's going to scream, and then Frank's going to switch to his costume C, and then costume D, and then again it'll go back to costume, do all that, and then it'll go back to costume A. Okay, so he's only going to do his animation once. Okay, but if it's forever, then it's going to go back and forth. Now when they stop touching, then he should go back to the last animation of where his hands are down by his sides. Okay, so let's click Frank, and let's go ahead and add the, if I click on when the sprite is clicked, when the sprite is clicked. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that now. So we hit green, we click the bat, he says Happy Halloween, flies down, touches Frank's shoulder, finishes the animation, and then when I hit the green flag, it'll be back up at the top again. Okay, now later we're going to make him fly back up, because if he keeps touching Frank will keep screaming and stuff. Okay, so we're going to do, when the flag is clicked, we're going to add a forever loop. So just so that the code will be waiting. And then we need to do an if, then, and we need our sensing one. So touching is the one that we want. Just put it in there. Do the drop down, and it should say bat. Okay. Then I want to play the sound, the scream sound. We won't do until done, because I want him to be moving at the same time. And we want his animation, so let's get him to, I guess, say animate. And which ones do we want? We want him kind of doing his arms up, don't we? Yeah, C and D is kind of the two that we really are interested in. C and D. Ah! 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 Okay. So we make it C and give it a second to wait. And then we'll do D. And I believe, yeah, and then I give it an A. Okay. So this is not this is forever looping, but it'll go through the code here. And then when the bat's not touching his shoulder, he will actually stop. And we want him to look like it's set again. All right, you ready? I'm going to click this. Oh yeah, it won't do anything. Let's see, how can I do... There we go. Okay, so let's make sure this works. let's check out our animation. Pretty good. Alright, so now let's go ahead. We've had our bat. So let's do everything. Click our bat. He should fly down, touch Frank. Frank should scream. Oh no, there's a problem. Do you know what the problem is? The bat is stuck on his shoulder, isn't he? Okay, so let's go back to our bat. And once he flies down, we actually need him to wait. I'll give it 3 seconds. 3 seconds of the little yell thing. And then we need him to glide back up, basically where he originally is. Or is right now, I'll say that. Okay. Now, let's watch. Happy Halloween. And then he stops, okay? So we have it so even if you click the bat too many times, when we click the flag, the bat will still go back to where he originally was. All right? We're getting close to the end of our class here, but want to go ahead to our next page. We'll finish up this part, and then I'll kind of leave you to explore some of our other stuff. So basically, we're going to learn about, we learned about clickables, making our characters click. We learned about sensing, making our characters interact, okay? Or sensing the collision detection, or touching is what this calls it, with our situation. Now, let's talk about using a draggable and then touching something and making it change into something else, okay? So now we're going to make a wizard and change him into, we're going to take a wizard and we're going to change him into take a frog, and change him into a wizard, okay? So let's go ahead and let's add, this is the same one, we're just continuing here. Let's add a wizard toad, a wizard, and a wand sprite. Set all of them 75% smaller. All right. So wizard toad, wizard, and then the wand. And they're all really big, aren't they? So let's click them and make them a little smaller. It's like we did before. All right. So we want our frog to be about here. We want our wizard to be about here as well. And we actually want our wand to be up here, and we're going to turn our wand 180 degrees. Whoop. Yeah. And we're actually going to make it draggable. Now, one of the things is we actually need to do a bit of a trick. And our bit of a trick is that we're actually going to have our, basically we're going to make the wizard transparent. So let's go ahead and do our wizard trick, okay? So let's do the wizard one first. Let's do a green flag when it's clicked. We're going to ghost and we're going to have him do 100% so that our wizard will disappear. Go to change it from color to ghost, and it's 100% when we click the flag. Okay, so the green flag in this situation resets everything. That's what we're really doing here. Okay, now I do know there's a show and a hide here. The problem with the show and the hide is once you hide something, you can't interact with it and bring it back, and that was the way we're going to do this today. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and let's make our frog special. I guess we would say. Oh, yeah, we're basically going to do these codes here. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's make our frog special, and we're going to have him hide when the wand touches him, and that'll be the first thing we do, and then we'll get it to unhide the frog when we hit the green flag. Okay, so let's do when clicked. Click our frog. When clicked, we want to do a forever loop and add the if touching wand. And say if then sensing touching wand. Then we want it to start a sound, and the frog comes with the sound. Okay, and then hide. So with the wand touches the frog, we want the frog to hide. So looks. Oh, we want it to do the sound. There's a frog sound on there too. You could do both sounds. That would be interesting. But anyway, so do sound. And then we want it to hide. Now we do need it to reset. Okay. So anytime we hit the green flag, we want to make sure that it shows the frog. Here we go. All right, so if the wand is touching, and I can pull this out so you can see what I mean. So if the wand touches the frog, it should play this sound and hide. And then when we click the green flag, the frog should come back. Okay. All right, now let's do the part for our rest of our wizard here. And then we'll do our wand and have it draggable and then have it reset. Okay. So let's do our wizard. Let's have it set to when the flag is clicked. All right, we need to do that start a forever loop thing. We need the if then and sensing the wand. So if the wand touches, now remember he's hidden here. So if I take the wand down here and touch the frog, it's also going to be touching the wizard, and then he'll reappear. Okay. See? So set his ghost effect to 0, so basically it'll look like he's reappearing. Okay. to 0. Okay? All right, now let's do the wand. And we actually want our wand to be draggable. And that's really all we have to do with our wand. When the green flag is clicked, and I'm trying to remember, we don't use that much. Okay, so it's under sensing. There's all kinds of ones. Distance from mouse pointer. There you go. Draggable mode. Make him draggable. Okay. Okay. So the other thing we need to do is when we reset, when we hit the green flag, make sure that the wand is back where it started. So we always have our reset. Right now our wand is where we want it to be started. So we do our motion, go to, there you go. And that's it. So let's look at our card here. So we hit our green flag. Let's click our bat. And then we can actually drag. We can't drag anything else, see? We can drag our wand around. See the wand? And then let's touch the frog. Oh no, what's happened? All right, did I do something backwards? I may have done something backwards. Okay, so let's make sure here. So when our wand, let's see, draggable, the wizard, when those touching the wand, ghost effect is 0. So let's make sure. The wizard, wand is touching the wizard. Oh, ghost effect is 0. Okay, so click that. Forever loop when the wand is touching, then go to 0. Are those backwards? No. I don't know. All right, what's happening? You're right, and then that should bring you back. Okay. Huh. All right, hang on a second here. Okay, so we have the frog showing, and then he's hiding. And then we have the wizard. Right? Well, wonder what is going on here. Okay. So frog, I'm going to click show. There's not another code here, is it? Alright, so that should make him disappear. And then that should make him reappear. I'm not sure what's going on unless I've just run into some kind of glitch. Okay, I must have just run into some kind of glitch, so I need to reset it. But I do know this code works because this is what we did in the last class, okay? So you basically have the effect, so he turns on, turns off, okay? So anyway, I've just run into some kind of glitch. I'd have to reset the page there, but I'll go ahead and finish off class here. So our big thing is that if you want to learn more about Scratch, they have a bunch of different tutorials on there. And also there's a great getting started. Also, if you do explore, I'm sure there's lots of fun Halloween themed projects to do. That are on there, and you can check those out. Got some great resources on there for all kinds of different projects. Lots of fun stuff going on. And then also talking about making it, there's Star Wars sprites you can download for different projects they have. MIT stuff. Great top Scratch video games. Thinking about the things you can do, so we kind of leads into doing our Scratch video game class. And then also getting started with some drag and drop programming. And if you want to go further in some other coding, here's some other links on there as well. Okay. All right, so hope you enjoyed class. Come join us this afternoon. We've got another class coming up this afternoon. And of course, next week we'll be doing some coding with Unity, Raspberry Pi project. Also have a gadget help coming up and doing a Scratch Basics Let's Make a Spooky Game. Remember, our libraries are open with limited services and hours. For more information, go to gchrl.org for details. And of course, you can call into the library Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. with questions you have. Thank you for being here today. Hope you learned something new. I'll see you later in a future class, and have a great, have a great afternoon. Bye-bye for now.